everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's me, CC, with the Cowie Z. Thanks for tuning in and killing time with me. I'd like to welcome my subscribers back and welcome in the new subscribers. If you are new here, this is just a YouTube video page dedicated to my riding my Z900 RS Cafe 2019. My input on what it's like to be a motorcycle rider for 25 years on public roads. We all have to find our place in the world of motorcycling where we feel comfortable, where we feel safest, where we know we're going to depart, we're going to arrive, and we're going to return. That's all you need to do. Ride your own ride. Don't get in over your head. You have nothing to prove to anybody. You want to ride a motorcycle on public roads. It's a lot of fun, and if you're safe, you can enjoy it. I mean, just keep doing it year after year after year. Now, that comes with some responsibility as far as keeping your motorcycle running, making sure before you leave, you know your bike is in great running condition. So they have an acronym for that. It's called T-CLOCS. Now, it's easy to remember the acronym T-C-L-O-C-S. I know the word clocks is in there, but there is no K in the acronym. But each letter of the acronym covers more than just what it stands for, like the T in T-CLOCS refers to your tire space in me, so that's the first thing I look at. Tread depth, as I'm rolling it down the ramp and get it into the driveway, I look at wear patterns, check for any nails, rocks in the tread, check the sidewalls, look at everything. Now here's the thing, just because it says tires, is the T doesn't stand for only tires. You're gonna look at your wheels, you're gonna look at your brakes, you're gonna look at anything that is in a relative for rotation with the tire. The wheels and the brakes, those move with the whole tire. So all that's included in the T for T-CLOCS. So that's what I'm trying to say, is it's not just tires. The next letter being C, it's not just controls. You're also looking at your throttle. Make sure it snaps back. It doesn't hang up. It's not hard to twist. It has a good friction. You want that snapback. So when you let off the throttle, there's no more forward motion except for all that speed you've already built up before you let the throttle close. C is also for cables. So you want to check your throttle cable. All of the cables, all of the hoses, anything related to turn signal, headlight, rear light, braking light or tail light. Check your levers at the same time. Your brake levers, your brake rear pedal, your clutch lever. Go ahead and check your mirrors. Clean your mirrors while you're doing this. It's all about the routine. Once you get into a routine, you're not going to remember everything all the time. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've left to head out and my chin strap on my helmet is not fastened. Now, it doesn't happen a lot because of the routine, but it does still happen occasionally. But you want to cover all of these things prior to starting your engine and heading out. So one letter only covers a basic function of the motorcycle for the acronym T-CLOCS. Like I said, tires, wheels, brakes, all those fall into the tire category. The next letter, C, is your controls, your horn, your headlight switch, your turn signal switch. Go ahead and check your brake lever, pull in your brake, go ahead and put the ignition on, but don't start the bike. Make sure your taillight is working when you apply the rear pedal for rear brake. Make sure the taillight, brake light comes on. Make sure it doesn't stay on after you take your foot off the rear brake lever or pedal. Check your front brake. Do the same thing. Pull in the front brake. Make sure the brake light illuminates. Now it should be on already because it's a running light. When you let off your front brake lever, the brake light should go off too. Turn signals. Make sure they're all functioning and working before you leave. And that also includes the cables. So the second letter in the acronym T-CLOCS, C, is for controls, levers, cables, all of those things. Now, lights come in third, but since you've already checked your controls, it's involved in the same function and feature. You're checking the lights already, but the lights mean entire electrical system. And check, you're not going to check a voltmeter, you're not going to bring out a voltmeter every single time, but if you do it on a regular basis, do it at least once a month. Do it at least once a month. Now I have a battery tender. I have it piggybacked. It's on the other side of the bike, but I have it just right under the fairing right here on the side panel. I just pop it right up. Bike's always charged. Now I unplug it in thunderstorms, lightning storms, just me being neurotic, and forget to plug it back in sometimes, but I usually have it plugged in before I go on a ride, if my ride is recreational, planned longer than just running to the store or something like that. So all the electrical is going to fall under lights. So you got T, C, L. Lights are already basically checked because you checked all your controls. Do a light electrical, just made up a word, run through, just a quick rundown. Make sure there's no frayed wires and stuff like that. Make sure your lights are working on your dash, on your instrument cluster. Mirrors were already included in controls. The next one, oil. Oh, that just doesn't cover oil. That covers all the fluids. Your rear brake reservoir fluid, your front brake fluid. Check your oil window down here. Check your radiator, the fluid right in here. Now the bike's on its side, so it's not up to the full line. But when I'm standing up on the bike, both feet on the ground, I can look down, bend over and look down, and I can see that it's just about on the full line for the radiator fluid. Coolant, whatever it is you got in there, engine ice, stuff like that. The next C comes into play, and a lot of people are saying chassis, and I get that. You want to look at your chassis, especially if you're someone who drops your bike or wheelies the motorcycle, or if it's been in a small accident. You're going to want to check these. Check all the welding points. But the reality is, every time you ride, you're not going to check the chassis. So I automatically think chain, and then I go suspension. I want to make sure my fork seals I want to make sure there's no oil leaking around the fork seals. Any oily substance probably means you've got a fork seal that's popped and needs to be replaced, dry rotted or whatever. So that's how I remember it. I skip the chassis part because it's not something I'm going to check every time I ride, but I am going to check my chain every single time I ride. I look to make sure it's not too dry, not too saggy. Now, I say every single time, but if I just did a chain maintenance the day before, I'm not really going to look at it that hard before I leave because I just worked on it the day before. Now, I'll look at it. I'll make sure, I didn't miss something. So then that leaves you one more letter in the acronym, and that is S. That's right. There's no K in T-CLOCS. There are only 2 C's. So the last one being stand. I guess you could remember, if you want to add a K and complicate things and say kickstand, but I just think stand. Kickstand or side stand is included in the acronym T-CLOCS. Now, back to the very beginning for me personally with tires, now that we've gone through the entire acronym, all the letters, the tires, PSI is, I don't want to use the word controversial, but there's a lot of talk about, do you run full PSI, manufacturer's recommendations, tire manufacturer's recommendations? Do you run full PSI? My answer, no. I don't run full PSI. I run, today I did 39 PSI in the rear, which is supposed to be 42 max, I believe. And the front is supposed to be 36, and I was doing like 33 today. And I like it. I've run those PSI for off and on many different motorcycles, different tires. I feel like the contact patch is a little bit fatter from, tire to road surface. And I like that. I don't like that hard 42 PSI in the rear, 36 in the front. It's just a hard tire. It makes it feel a little bit slippery to me. And I don't want that necessarily, especially when I'm doing slow parking lot speeds. I like a little less PSI than the manufacturers call for, and about 3. And play around with it. Don't get too worried to say, well, I didn't check the PSI before I left, but if you checked it maybe a day before, now your weather's going to make it fluctuate a little bit. If it's hot outside, it's going to be different from the day before if it was cooler, but that's okay. That's what I'm saying. You can play with it in between. I'm not saying right around on a flat tire, or if it recommends 36 PSI, I'm not telling you to run 26 PSI. I mean, that's just different application for however your riding style is. Like, I got an easement back here. Now, I like to go out the front, but sometimes the car's in the way and I just go down the easement anyway. But I'm telling you, that soft sand feels a lot better when I have less PSI in the tire. If I have a full hard 42 PSI in the back rear tire, or in the 36 in the front, it just wants to, it doesn't really want to find a contact patch. So I run a little bit lower PSI, especially because of the easement. And it depends on the weather too. Now, sometimes it's been raining for days and that soft dirt, soil, gets turned into a very hard, slippery, almost clay-like surface sometimes. So always mind your PSI, but in my opinion, you don't have to run the full PSI. That just makes too hard of a tire for me, in my experience over the years. All right, and also, if you have a puncture, if something's in it, it's not necessarily going to ruin your day. I've ridden on a patch. I didn't do it for, well, I did have an old Suzuki GS 1100E in '82 that I rode the rear tire on a patch for a little too long. But I was, young and dumb and broke back then. So, but if you do have a flat, if you carry a tire patch kit with you, you're gonna have to ride on the patch anyway. So, I'm not telling you all to go out there and ride on a patch tire when you wake up in the morning and you've been itching for a ride all week, and you need to patch your tire. Keep it a shorter ride. Keep the speeds low. Ride to the shop and get a tire. I don't know, but my experience is you don't necessarily have to stay at home because you've got puncture and a nail. If you can get it out of there. I just had a nail in my car the other day, front tire, driver's side. I pulled it out and there was no leak. Luckily, they got into the tread and didn't puncture through the wall. But if you have sidewall issue, you're not riding that day. But just because you have a nail in your tire or a tack or something like that doesn't mean you can't ride. That's not necessarily true. But I didn't tell you to go out there and ride on a patch. All right, so that's wheels, brakes. If you're looking at the wheels and you think there might be something wrong, I don't have a motorcycle with spokes. I don't know if you're going to ride without a broken spoke. I've never had that issue. I've never owned a motorcycle with spokes. And that's just the luck of the draw, I guess. But if it looks like there's anything cracked, bent, warped, your wheel, you're not riding that day. And then the next thing's the brakes. If you're hearing a little bit of squeak when you're pushing the motorcycle around your garage or your carport, sometimes that's just dust. I know every once in a while I get a little bit of a dust, squeak in the front or in the rear while I'm pushing the bike out of the shed or into the shed. And usually if I just squeeze the lever a little bit, it kind of works itself out. It doesn't keep making a squeal. Now, if you keep hearing a drag sound, sandpaper while you're pushing it along, your brake's not releasing all the way. So that's something you can adjust and fix on your own. Most likely, if you have a little bit of maintenance, mechanical aptitude, that's not necessarily going to keep you at home either. If your brakes have no pressure in them whatsoever, if you pull the lever and it just comes all the way down and there's no pressure at all, you're going to bleed the brakes, and you're probably not riding that day if you don't know how to do that. You're absolutely not riding that day if you don't know how to do that. But those are things you're going to have to learn over time. I think I got an old video around me doing a brake bleed on the Suzuki GSX-R I might upload, a little short, if I can find it somewhere in the files. And so the brakes, if there's no pressure, no bueno, you're not going to go anywhere. And if there's, like I said, if there's a little drag, you know how to adjust the brakes, go ahead and do it. Now you've got the lever up here that's got a knob on it that's going to show you numbers 1 through 5, I think, and you can change the pressure of the brake lever, the control of it, how light or how hard you got to press. You can do the same with the clutch, and that's just the cable though, really. You're just tightening. So controls everything, cables, all the cables, controls every single switch that you need to use on your handlebars. That's all involved. All these cables back here for the rear brake, all these cables up here for the front brake, all the hoses for the radiator, anything that's like you can see you're turning the throttle and it's not snapping back. You're gonna have to figure that out, because you're gonna need that to, first of all, slow the motorcycle down. Pulling the clutch, engine brake, is going to slow it down as well. But you can't just say, well, it hangs, but I'm going to use the brake when I get to a stop sign or a red light. It's not a very smart move. Then your lights, which are already included basically in your control check, in your cable check. All the lights, cracks, frayed wires, one of them's not working, bulb might be blown, fuse might be blown. So go through all of your lights, which includes electrical. Then you're going to go oil, all fluids, brake fluids, crankcase oil, radiator fluid, coolant. Then you're going to go to the next C, which a lot of people mainly go chassis. I don't think you need to check your chassis unless you're some kind of wheelie demon or you drop your bike frequently or something like that. So I think chain, drive train. If it's a drive shaft, check that. Make sure there's no leaks. But you're definitely looking for chain and not too dry. Put some oil on there if you have to right away. If you want to go on a ride, it's going to fling off, but I like to let it sit after I add lube. Some people just are going to lube up and take off. It's fine. You're going to have a mess, and hopefully it's not on your tire and stuff. I go ahead and I think of suspension too when I think of chain instead of chassis. Chain, suspension, frame, any dangling bodywork, stuff like that, and then very last, your stand. Some people say it's T-CLOCS with a K and they think kickstand. I just always stand or side stand. And then that's pretty much it. But those things are going to keep you feeling confident about your ride. You're not going to get halfway into your ride and go, man, I never checked to see if my radiator fluid, here it's going to be a 95-degree day, and I never checked to see if the radiator fluid or the coolant level was topped off. Or you get down the road and you're like, hey, I have no turn signals, or my brake light's not working. Now, that's a little different than getting down the road and being like, oh, the gas station's 5 blocks away. You get to the gas station, you didn't cinch up your helmet. It happens. It's gonna happen. But if you try to maintain a routine, you're gonna forget less and less and less. So one of the things that I'm doing now to get my mind into not riding away with my chin strap unbuckled is do it before I put my gloves on. If I start to put my gloves on, I start to go, oh, chin strap. I look in the mirror real quick and see my chin strap. Not hanging down. I'm like, all right, then I go ahead with the gloves. That's basically the pilot's checklist. That's what that is. You're the pilot, you're in control, you're responsible for all things that happen while you're riding and sitting on top of this machine at 60 miles an hour plus sometimes. So just think safe. Like I said, you want to depart, you want to arrive, and you want to return the safest way possible and get back to your pets and your loved ones. So once you get in this routine, you're going to start realizing, hey, these things are becoming a little bit more second nature to me. The more you ride, the more you're going to think about it. If you're just trying it out and you don't stick with it, there's a lot of used motorcycles on Marketplace and Cycle Trader and classifieds, let's just say, and people think it's going to be fun. One thing is you get into a hot or cold time of year and people kind of forget about their bike. They leave it in the garage or in the shed and they're like, the weather's not good. So that's what you can't always have the best weather on your days off, on your time to ride. I think there's an old German saying, and it's like, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So, keep that in mind too. I know some of the stuff that I ride in the summertime isn't the best, but then that's when I use the armor. I have the armor pads. I use them in my leather as well in the winter time, but when I just cannot bear to wear any leather because it is so stifling humid and hot, I have body armor. Force Field is the brand, very good brand. I don't know, hopefully they're not going out of business, but when I've gone to their website, there's kind of no response. But they do have great gear, and I have noticed on some of the online retailers for it, the online sellers, they're saying a lot of the stuff is out of stock and don't know when it's coming back. So I have 2 back pads, one for each jacket, Force Field, and they're both different style back pads, which is unfortunate. And then I have the shoulder pads, the elbow pads, and the knee pads, and the hip pads for my mesh. I do not have hip pad pockets for my leather, but there is some quilted reinforcement there in the leather. But this is all just routine, anything but routine, all routine. You know, try to make it every single time. I know it's impossible, kind of like the chassis or, you know, the frame. You're not going to look at your frame every time you get on your motorcycle unless you dropped it the last time you rode and hadn't looked at it yet. So anyway, thanks for killing time with me. I'm CC with the Cowie Z. Welcome back to my old subscribers. Welcome in the new. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. If you really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. We are on track now for the strive for 500. The drive for 5. We're a long way away from 500 subscribers, but gotta get there sometime. Killing time with me is